I'm telling you, General Kadar, it's all nonsense. Humans don't exist. They're a fabrication, a myth to keep us entertained between campaigns. General Kadar leaned back in his ornate command chair, the bioluminescent patterns on his skin dimming in irritation. He regarded the younger officer before him with a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Commander Yelthik," Kadar began, his voice a low rumble that echoed through the chamber. "You've been reading too many of those ridiculous archives the scholars compile." "But, General," Yelthik persisted, his fronds twitching in earnestness, "the stories are too outlandish to be true. A species that thrives on a death world? That uses their own planet's gravitational forces to train their bodies? And the tales of their resilience, surviving in the vacuum of space, enduring poisons that would dissolve us in seconds. It's absurd." Kadar's eyes narrowed, their slit-like pupils focusing intently on Yelthik. "And yet, the Galactic Concordance speaks of their victories. Planets liberated, fleets dismantled, alliances forged. Are you calling the records of our ancestors lies?" Yelthik hesitated, his fronds wilting slightly. "Not lies, General. Perhaps exaggerations." The general rose to his full height, his imposing frame casting long shadows across the chamber. The bioluminescent patterns on his skin flared, a signal of authority and command. "Exaggerations or not, we've been tasked with assessing this alleged threat. Whether they are myth or reality, we will uncover the truth." Yelthik's doubt was palpable, but he bowed low. "As you command, General." The fleet of the Zarnak Dominion hovered in orbit above a barren moon, their sleek, organic ships pulsating with energy. Kadar stood on the bridge of the flagship, his hands clasped behind his back as he stared at the planet below. It was unassuming, a blue-green sphere with swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful, serene even. "This is the infamous Earth," he muttered to himself. "Hardly the stuff of legends. Scans show significant industrial activity," a technician reported. "Their technology is primitive by our standards, but there are anomalies." "Anomalies?" Kadar turned, his interest piqued. "Yes, General. Energy signatures that don't align with their known capabilities. And biological readings that are unusual." Kadar's gaze hardened. "Prepare a reconnaissance team. I want to see these humans for myself." The landing party consisted of Kadar, Yelthik, and a small contingent of elite soldiers. They descended to the planet's surface in a stealth craft, their arrival masked by advanced cloaking technology. The chosen landing site was a dense forest, far from human settlements. "This is ridiculous," Yelthik muttered as they disembarked. "We're chasing shadows." Kadar ignored him, his attention focused on the environment. The air was rich with oxygen, the gravity slightly heavier than what they were accustomed to. The flora and fauna were vibrant, teeming with life. "Stay alert," he ordered. "If the stories are true, these humans are not to be underestimated." They moved cautiously through the forest, their advanced sensors scanning for signs of life. Hours passed with no contact, and Yelthik's skepticism grew. "See? Nothing," he said, gesturing to the tranquil surroundings. "Just a primitive planet with primitive creatures." As if on cue, a sharp crack echoed through the forest. The team froze, their weapons at the ready. From the shadows emerged a group of humans, their eyes sharp and their movements deliberate. They were armed, but their weapons were rudimentary compared to Zarnak technology. "Identify yourselves," one of the humans demanded, their voice steady and authoritative. Kadar stepped forward, his towering form dwarfing the humans. "I am General Kadar of the Zarnak Dominion. We come in peace." The human leader, a woman with piercing eyes, smirked. "Funny way of showing peace. Sneaking onto our planet like this." Yelthik bristled. "You dare speak to the general that way?" Kadar raised a hand to silence him. "We are here to learn about your species. The legends of your kind are intriguing." The woman's smirk faded, replaced by a look of wary curiosity. "Legends? Huh? What kind of legends?" Kadar hesitated. "Tales of your resilience, your ingenuity, your unpredictability." The humans exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, The woman spoke. You want to see what humans are capable of? You've come to the right place. What followed was a series of encounters that shattered Kathar's preconceived notions. The humans displayed a resourcefulness and adaptability that defied logic. They used their environment to their advantage, turning the simplest tools into deadly weapons. Their physical endurance was astounding, their determination unyielding. Kathar found himself both awed and unnerved. These creatures, with their fragile bodies and primitive technology, possessed a spirit that was unlike anything he had ever encountered. They are not myths, he admitted to Yelthik one evening as they observed a human training exercise. They are real, and they are formidable. Yelthik nodded reluctantly. I see that now, but what does it mean for us? Kathar's expression was grim. It means we must tread carefully. These humans may be our greatest challenge yet. The humans did not trust the Zarnak delegation easily. Kathar noticed how the humans constantly watched them, their eyes sharp and calculating. Despite their outward hospitality, there was an undercurrent of suspicion that permeated every interaction. This was not a species to be taken lightly. The human leader, who introduced herself as Captain Alara Hayes, invited Kathar to observe a military exercise. Kathar and his team were escorted to a sprawling training ground where humans demonstrated their combat techniques. What struck Kathar most was their unpredictability. Their strategies were unconventional, often bordering on reckless, yet they were undeniably effective. Your tactics are unorthodox, Kathar commented as he watched a group of humans simulate an ambush. You rely heavily on improvisation. Alara nodded. That's because we've learned to adapt. No plan survives first contact with the enemy, General. Flexibility is key. Kathar considered this. In Zarnak warfare, precision and order were paramount. Every move was calculated, every outcome predicted. The human approach was chaotic by comparison, yet it worked. It was a stark contrast that both intrigued and unsettled him. As the days turned into weeks, Kathar's respect for the humans grew. He witnessed their resilience firsthand when a training accident left a soldier severely injured. To Kathar's astonishment, the soldier not only survived but returned to training within days, their determination undiminished. They're like the creatures of our homeworld that thrive in the acid seas, Yelthik remarked. They endure what should destroy them. Kathar nodded. And they do so with a resolve that borders on defiance. It wasn't just their physical capabilities that impressed him. The humans displayed a camaraderie and loyalty that was rare among the Zarnak. They fought not just for survival, but for each other. It was a bond that Kathar found both alien and admirable. The turning point came when a rogue faction of Zarnak rebels attacked Earth. Kathar and his team were caught in the crossfire, forced to fight alongside the humans to repel the invaders. It was during this battle that Kathar truly understood the depth of human courage. Alara led the charge, her voice rallying her troops as they faced overwhelming odds. Kathar fought beside her, his advanced weaponry complementing the humans' ingenuity. Together, they turned the tide of the battle, driving the rebels back. In the aftermath, as they stood amidst the ruins, Kathar turned to Alara. You have my respect, Captain. Your people are extraordinary. Alara smiled, though it was tinged with exhaustion. And you're not so bad yourself, General. Maybe there's hope for us yet. From that day forward, Kathar became an advocate for humanity within the Zarnak Dominion. He spoke of their strength, their resilience, and their indomitable spirit. The myths had been dispelled, replaced by a profound truth. Humans were real, and they were a force to be reckoned with. Kathar's newfound respect for humanity did not go unnoticed within the Zarnak Dominion. His reports painted a picture of a species that was both fascinating and terrifying. It sparked heated debates among the Dominion's leaders. Some saw the humans as potential allies, while others viewed them as a threat that needed to be neutralized. Kathar found himself at the center of these debates, his words carrying significant weight. He argued passionately for diplomacy, emphasizing the benefits of learning from the humans rather than engaging them in conflict. We have much to gain from cooperation, he told the High Council. Their resilience and ingenuity could complement our precision and order. Together, we could achieve greatness. Not everyone was convinced. The Dominion's history was one of conquest, and many were reluctant to deviate from that path. But Kathar's reputation as a brilliant strategist lent credibility to his arguments. Slowly, he began to sway opinions. Meanwhile, on Earth, Kathar continued to deepen his understanding of humanity. He spent time with civilians, observing their daily lives and learning about their culture. He was particularly intrigued by their art and music, which he found both alien and captivating. "Your people express emotions in ways that we do not," he remarked to Alara one evening as they listened to a live performance. "It's enlightening," Alara chuckled. "We've had to find ways to cope with our struggles, General. Art, music, and storytelling are part of what makes us human. They remind us of who we are and what we're fighting for." Kathar nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps that is why you endure. You fight not just for survival, but for something greater, something intangible." Alara smiled, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the performance. "Maybe, or maybe we're just stubborn." The bond between Kathar and the humans grew stronger with each passing day. The general found himself increasingly drawn to their way of life, their unpredictable nature, and their unyielding spirit. It was a stark contrast to the rigid structure of the Zarnak Dominion, and it challenged everything he had been taught. The humans, in turn, began to see Kathar not as an alien invader but as an ally, perhaps even a friend. His willingness to learn and adapt earned him their respect, and his actions during the battle against the rebels solidified his place among them. One evening, as Kathar stood on a hill overlooking a human settlement, Alara joined him. The stars above were bright, their light casting a soft glow over the landscape. "You've changed, General," Alara said, her tone contemplative. Kathar glanced at her, his bioluminescent patterns dim. "Have I?" She nodded. "When you first arrived, you saw us as curiosities, myths to be debunked. Now, you see us as equals." Kathar was silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the stars. "You've taught me much, Captain, about resilience, about adaptability, about what it means to truly live." Alara smiled. "And you've shown us that not all aliens are enemies. Maybe there's hope for more than just survival. Maybe there's hope for understanding." The Zarnak Dominion eventually reached a decision. Inspired by Kathar's reports, they extended an offer of alliance to humanity. It was an unprecedented move, one that marked a turning point in the history of both species. Kathar was instrumental in the negotiations, his insights into both Zarnak and human cultures bridging the gap between them. The alliance was not without its challenges. There were mistrust and misunderstandings on both sides, but it was a step toward a future where cooperation replaced conflict. Years later, Kathar stood on the bridge of his ship, now a joint vessel of the Zarnak Human Alliance. The bioluminescent patterns on his skin glowed with pride as he looked out at the stars. "General," a human officer said, approaching him, "we're ready to begin the next phase of the mission." Kathar turned, his expression resolute. "Then let us proceed." Together, as the ship moved forward, a symbol of unity and hope, Kathar reflected on how far they had come. The myths of humanity had been replaced by a reality that was far more extraordinary. And in that reality, Kathar had found not just allies, but kindred spirits. The journey had only just begun.